Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something that honestly can feel like a superpower for English learners.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking directly in English, skipping that whole translation thing in your head.
Right. That mental detour.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
We've been looking at some really helpful stuff on this, specifically from the Think in English, Activate Your Fluency podcast.
And also that episode, How to Think in English to Learn English Faster, from the Think English, Unlock Your Fluency show.
Exactly. Both offer some, well, pretty clear strategies to help cut out that translation middleman.
So our mission today really is to pull out the best, most actionable bits from these sources for you listening, so you can actually start doing this, maybe even, right away.
Yeah, imagine being in a conversation, right? And the English words just form. No awkward pause while your brain scrambles.
Ugh. Yes, that pause. We want to eliminate that. Free up that mental energy.
And the payoffs, according to these podcasts, are pretty significant. We're talking faster speaking.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting out a step.
Definitely. And it feels more natural, more like how native speakers actually, well, think and speak.
Which leads to more confidence, right? Less hesitation.
That's the idea. Less second-guessing yourself.
Okay, so let's dig in a bit more. Why is this so important? We've touched on the benefits: speed, naturalness, confidence, but what's happening cognitively based on what these podcasts say?
Well, it's really about streamlining, isn't it? The sources really stress that when you skip translating, your brain just processes and produces English way more efficiently.
Like a direct route.
Exactly. A direct pathway. It's like building a dedicated English highway in your brain instead of constantly merging back onto your native language road. It just flows better.
That makes a lot of sense. A direct line. Okay, so for someone totally used to translating everything, where do you even start? It sounds kind of daunting.
It can seem that way, but the sources offer some really accessible starting points, really practical stuff.
Like what?
Well, one of the simplest things they suggest is just naming objects around you in English, consciously. But the key is, and they really highlight this, look at your, your phone or the window or a cup, and think the English word directly. Don't think your word first and then translate.
Right. Cut out the middleman, even for single words. So, see object, think English label.
Precisely. It sounds basic, maybe, but it's fundamental for building that direct link. Object to English word. Done.
Okay, I get that. Building those immediate connections. And it's not just objects, nouns, right? The sources talk about moving on to simple thoughts, too.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get comfortable just labeling stuff, the next step is thinking in simple English phrases about what you're doing.
Like your daily routine.
Perfect example. They mentioned thinking, like, I'm getting ready now. Okay, first shower, then breakfast. Something like that.
Yeah.
While you're actually doing it.
Anchoring the English to the action itself.
Yeah, it makes it stick better.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're narrating your own life, but, quietly in English, in your head.
I like that. It makes it feel less like a chore, less like studying, and more just integrating it. Okay, and what about the idea of starting with really short phrases? How does that fit in?
That's another great stepping stone they suggest. Thinking in really concise phrases, maybe like 3 words.
Example.
Things like, I feel happy. Or, looking out the window, she's wearing red. Or, the coffee's hot. Super simple stuff.
Okay, bite-sized thoughts.
Exactly. It lets you practice actually forming English thoughts, constructing simple sentences mentally without the pressure of having to say them out loud immediately. It builds momentum, builds that confidence.
Right, these small wins. So, starting small, simple labels, simple thoughts about actions, short phrases, makes sense. Where do we go from there once you get the hang of those basics?
Well, once that starts feeling a bit more natural, the podcast suggests leveling up, moving towards, developing more of an inner monologue in English.
Okay, expanding it.
Yeah, and using visualization, so internal storytelling.
Yeah.
They have the example of ordering coffee. You actually picture the whole scene in your head, the cafe, the barista, you walking up, and you mentally rehearse the English phrases. Can I get a latte, please?
Yeah.
To have here, stuff like that.
So it's like a mental practice run, a simulation.
Precisely. Preparing yourself mentally for those real-world situations. And another really key thing they mention is reacting to things in English.
Reacting? How do you mean?
Like, you see a cute dog on the street. Your instant thought might normally be in your native language, right?
Sure.
The idea is to consciously make that first reaction in English. Like, oh, so fluffy. Or, wow, that's a big dog.
Okay. So you're trying to make English your brain's sort of default setting for immediate responses.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The sources emphasize that this helps your brain really start to kind of live in English more,
Hmm.
processing experiences through that English filter from the get-go.
Okay, these are some really good proactive techniques, but let's be real, people are going to hit roadblocks, right? What about when you just don't know the word? That's a huge one.
Oh, absolutely. Super common. And the podcasts tackle this directly. They offer
Yeah.
some practical fixes.
Right.
Well, first off, don't get totally stuck trying to find the perfect word.
Right.
If you don't know bookshelf, for instance.
Yeah.
Just say something simply in English that gets the idea across, like the place where books go, or the shelf for books.
Okay, so using the English you do know to talk around the word you don't. Circumlocution.
Exactly. It keeps you thinking in English, keeps the momentum going, rather than immediately switching back to your native language to search for that one specific word.
That's smart. It stops the whole process grinding to a halt. What else? Any other tips for vocabulary gaps?
Yeah, they also suggest being, well, a bit tactical with dictionaries.
Meaning don't overuse them.
Right. Look up only the really key words you absolutely need. The goal is to stay in English in your head as much as possible, not constantly dipping out to translate.
Makes sense. Keep the flow.
And maybe the most important thing, they really stress embracing mistakes. It's okay.
Now,
Well, they give the example of thinking something like, he go to park. Grammatically wrong, obviously.
right? Yeah.
But they say in these initial stages of just thinking in English, that's okay. That's acceptable. The main goal right now is just to do it, to practice the act of forming thoughts in English.
So fluency over accuracy, at least in your own head initially.
Kind of, yeah. Progress over perfection. You can refine the grammar later as your overall skills improve. Don't let the fear of making mental mistakes stop you from trying.
That's actually really encouraging. Takes a lot of pressure off, knowing your internal thoughts don't have to be perfect right away.
Totally. It's about the journey, building the habit. The core message, really, from both these Think in English sources is that consistency is key. Small, regular efforts.
Little and often.
Exactly. It won't happen overnight, but gradually, thinking in English will start to feel less effortful, more automatic. It's about retraining your brain, essentially.
So the big takeaways seem to be, start small, don't worry too much about perfection early on, be patient, and just keep doing it consistently.
That sums it up perfectly, like
Yep.
building any muscle.
Right.
Regular practice makes it stronger. That's the vibe you get from their advice.
Okay, so for you listening, taking a leaf out of their book, that call to action, what's maybe just one tiny thing right now after listening to this that you could consciously try to think about in English? Could be naming the next object you see. Could be a quick thought about how you feel, I feel tired, or this is interesting.
Yeah, just one small thing.
Give it a try. Start flexing that English thinking muscle right now.